Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the world today. Welcome to Live at the Waterhole. It's Friday, so welcome to the almost weekend. Thank you all so much for joining me. My name's Kelly. I'm going to be with you for the next couple of hours to see what these fabulous cameras can offer us today. Please do remember, we are very much live and interactive today. I'm very excited to get all your questions. Give us all your thoughts, any ideas, or anything you'd like to chat about, really. Ah, look at this little baby. So send your questions through to wildearth.tv/questions, or you can scan the QR code you are currently seeing on your screen. This looks like a little family group here with a rather large bowl apparently at the back. It's actually nice to see this family group here at Tenby. I've been seeing lots of bulls here recently, and I was desperately trying to find some numbers as to the ratio of males to females or young animals in Tenby. I struggled to find any accurate data, but look at that size difference. So you can see there's a few adult females here, they've got their little ones with them. But if you look at the size difference to that big guy at the back there, it really is quite striking. Please do let us know where you are watching from today. That would be fascinating. And such a pleasure that we're able to all link like this using the wonders of modern day technology. If they stick with us. I've actually got another new microphone today, so hopefully I'm coming through nice and clear without sounding like I'm in a swimming pool. Looks like a nice cool day today here at Tenby. It's certainly nice and cool here in the Lowfelt, close to the Kruger Park. It's a lovely overcast day today. We've had some rain actually, which is quite unusual for this time of year. Currently about 24, 25 degrees. Oh, look at that young one having a little suckle there. I'm not quite sure how sensitive this mic is, but there's some rather rather loud birds outside my window that we might be able to hear. But this is actually nice to see this group here. Often these big bulls, when they do loiter with these family groups, they can be a little bit of a nuisance. They can make a bit of a nuisance of themselves. But this is a lovely relaxed scene. He's just chilling there, minding his own business. Ah, check this little one having a drink. Had a fabulous time at the Elephant Museum in the Kruger not long ago at Letaba. Highly recommended if anyone is in the area to pop in and have a look. And it was actually interesting to see there was a life scale of how to age elephants. And they're surprisingly big. Even the small ones. It can sometimes be quite tricky to age elephants, in my opinion. Often when they're Look, this female here is he being a nuisance now? There was a female back there with just one tusk that he has promptly stood directly in front of. But it was a nice life-size depiction of elephant size. There's a huge big bull at the front of the museum, and it's insane standing right next to a life-size elephant, close enough to touch them. It's an opportunity we don't normally get, and one that I would not normally want. And Deb Davis, hello, how are you doing? Joining us from Pennsylvania in the United States. Welcome, Deb Davis. Lovely to have you along for the afternoon, or what time is it? Is it morning or afternoon in the States? At the moment, it might be nighttime. I've been doing quite a bit of, in the last couple of years, travelling, and I got so horribly confused with time zones. I actually found an app on my phone, and you could make anything, anytime, anywhere in the world, and it would show you what the times were in other locations, and that was the only way I had any idea. So it can be quite, I can find it quite difficult to age elephants. Normally if you see a little calf without any tusks visible, they're normally under 2 years old. It's unusual to see any tusks on a youngster if they're any younger than 2. It's not impossible. They can start showing from about 1 year of age. I'm going to try and pronounce this correctly. Apologies if I get it wrong. Mbededo, you're watching from Benue State in Nigeria. Welcome from Nigeria. I would be fascinated to see some of the nature in Nigeria. You are very, very welcome joining us with this group of... No. Don't make her move, boy. There's another big bull joined the party there for some dusting by the looks of it. Hendrik, good afternoon from Bloemfontein, South Africa. Thank you very much for joining us, Hendrik. You are very, very welcome. And everyone departs. There's another way to age elephants that someone once taught me. If they can pass under a mother's belly, they're definitely under 2. So you can normally tell if an elephant is younger than 2. And then it's, in my opinion, it's a little bit of guesswork, to be honest. You just look at size. Also, if you check how competent they are with their trunk, if there was 2 elephants of similar size, but one was much better with their trunk and their trunk handling than the other, it could suggest that the one who had better control was a little bit older. This little guy is, he's having a blast running around back there.
Join Wild Earth Travel on a unique nature adventure in the Greater Kruger Park. Legendary master tracker Renius Mhlongo leads a 4-day animal tracking experience in the Sabi Sand Nature Reserve. This experience offers a life-changing chance to track Africa's iconic animals on foot with a master of his craft. Renius is joined by Wild Earth presenter and expert storyteller Amy Krantz, and together they will connect you to Africa's wild heart. South Africa's wild places are closer than you think, because Federal Airlines brings them to you. From the calm of our FedAir lounge to the smooth boarding of our trusted fleet, we take care of the journey so you can enjoy the adventure. Our flights go beyond the ordinary, connecting you to South Africa's most remote and extraordinary locations. Federal Airlines, your gateway to the South African wild.
Haina nchumo, haina maka, emava kwenye ya mbilu, haina maka. Lifasila mina ritapela, zatsemba, utatsamana mina.
And while it could potentially benefit later on in life, it's also sometimes just play. Is no one coming to join in, boy? I'm sorry. Go try that one. See if that one will join in, little one. Not going to play with that one though. That's a little bit out of your size range, I think, little one. Erica Oldno. Hello, how are you doing, Erica? Lovely to have you joining us from a sunny Cape Town. As I said, sunny Cape Town, the sun just peeked out from behind the clouds here in the Lofel. Oh look, that little one. You didn't enjoy that so much. That boy was a little bit big to be attempting to play. So he's gonna have a play with the stick instead. I think that's a very good idea. Sandy Franklin 69. Good morning, Sandy. 6:43 a.m. in O'Reilly, Tennessee. Oh, it makes it look. We've got Australia, we've got Pennsylvania, we've got Tennessee, we've got South Africa. Thank you all for joining us. Oh, see here, this is more your size, buddy. See how very square this female's head is, just in front of those little ones at the muddy puddle there. It's nice to see there's still lots of these muddy puddles around. I was actually in one of the reserves probably about an hour from here yesterday. And it's amazing to see the difference that very short distances can make in rainfall. And you can see they've had good rain where I was yesterday. There's still quite a lot of greenery. The grass is still quite long, lots of nutrition there still. And yet other areas there's a patch of grass close to sort of by my driveway that over the last 3 weeks has all but disappeared. It's dying off very, very quickly. Oh, Mindy Tillipel, hi, how's it going? You got to help keepers at your zoo wash the elephants. It was wicked cool touching them, especially the bottom of their feet. That is very, very cool. It's a great experience to have. I've been fortunate to once touch a sedated elephant. I was absolutely stunned at the weight of the trunk. They did say you can try lift it if you want, and it wasn't a massive bull. There was no way. I could hardly get any movement at all in picking that trunk up. But that is very, very cool. I've said before, I'm doing a workshop in August looking at applying companion animal behaviour modification techniques, looking at similar principles to captive wildlife. The animals won't be sedated, so I don't know if I'm going to touch feet or anything, but looking at things like cooperative care, and Mindy, I'm not sure if they discussed this with you at the zoo. I'm a firm believer in cooperative care. I know not everyone is, but giving our companion animals choice and giving them agency. Just because they're animals, it doesn't mean they don't deserve to have choices as well. And many captive wildlife animals, elephants, tigers, all sorts of things, have been taught to allow husbandry, so cooperative care techniques, grooming, trimming of things, and they have choices, because if an awake elephant decides that you're not doing something to it, there is no chance. So interesting, Mindy, that the elephants you were washing were obviously choosing to be washed, because an elephant that does not want to be washed will not be washed. Claire Downing, 11:46 in London, UK. Welcome, Claire. I'm actually popping back to England in June. Hoping for a little bit of sunshine there. Another England, Katie 85, good morning from Northamptonshire, England. It's 11:47. And sunny there. I've actually been hearing interesting reports that there's been some excellent weather in England recently. I'm very happy for you all, because it's a completely different vibe in the UK when the sun is shining. So I hope you are enjoying the sunshine, Claire Downing and Katie 85. Is that the same little one still wanting to play? He's definitely got a play bee in his bonnet today. There's a lot of trunk swinging going on there. It does make me laugh how these young ones sometimes. He's a feisty one, this guy on the left, eh? Jason. When they're very, very small, it does. I enjoy it. I keep my wits about me when it happens. But if you are in the bush and there's a family group, and sometimes the really, really tiny ones, they'll at you and they run towards you, and then they turn and they spin and they run away. But I'm always cautious, because if Mum thinks that there is a problem with her little one, then there could indeed be a problem. But there is not many things cuter than a teeny tiny little elephant behaving like a big adult bull. And see this female. It's got no. Oh no, she's got one on the other side. Shame, girlie, she's just got one. And I'm saying female because of that very square head. That was my reasoning. This little one's entertaining himself beautifully, though. Super cute watching these this family group going about their day, undisturbed. We're not intruding on their business. And it's one of the reasons I really enjoy these cameras. It's like, is that a woolly neck stalk at the bottom there? Possibly a woolly neck stalk scratching around in at the edge of the pan. Frank Ritz, good morning from Massachusetts. Good morning, Frank Ritz. Thank you for joining us. We are delighted to have you here, as are the Tenby Elephant Park elephants, I'm sure. There's still plenty of little individual pans that I've enjoyed watching these elephants picking their own sort of little muddy puddle, especially the bulls, and they'll pick their own little splash pan. Not quite a plunge pool, but picking their own little mud puddle, and they don't even have to share. Stood there, his legs crossed. It does look nice and cool there today.
My name is Amy, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently.
The Wild Earth Impact Foundation is a non-profit that uses the power of wildlife storytelling as a force for good. We create sustainable development projects that showcase conservation stories, empower people, and inspire environmental action. As a registered South African PBO, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. To find out more, visit our website.
Would you like to know what an elephant's favorite food is? You could ask me questions like that in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive from the heart of Africa. Over here. Watch Safari Live and connect with nature.
Wild Earth Travel would like to take you to Namibia and Botswana. Drift over the desert in a hot air balloon, then glide through the lush Okavango Delta in a dugout canoe. This extraordinary journey blends dramatic landscapes with outdoor adventures and unparalleled wildlife encounters. Discover Africa like never before. Book now with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
The grass out from the roots, they're clip, clip, clip. Just sort of keeping it short, and if they carry on doing that and stop standing on it, I'm sure I will let them stay. But the animals here, or in many of these areas across southern Africa, as we come out of the rainy season, the amount of vegetation available is going to drop, and they're going to start feeling some pressure on food resources. So we shall see. I will let you know how my small piece of grass develops, or does not develop rather. I'm lucky enough to stay in a wildlife estate, and really do think it's important for everyone to try and maximise the potential of natural areas. It's bad enough that there's human habitation anywhere, but obviously people do have to live somewhere. But I think if we're all mindful, and you can do it anywhere in the world, anywhere you are. You don't need to be in a wildlife estate or Africa or anything else, even if you've just got a small garden, or even a window box. Do a bit of reading around the flowers that the bees like in your area, butterflies. Try, if you have a slightly larger garden, to keep a couple of areas as natural as you can. Things like piles of wood and leaves and rotting piles of stuff. Good to leave there if you can, rather than having everything perfectly manicured and denatured. Is that a word? That's what you do to chemicals, I think, denaturing something. Unwilding areas. Always nice to try and keep vegetation or plants to those that are native to your local area. At least that's what I'm going to try and do. So yeah, I don't have a zebra lawn solution for now. Pretty cool though to see a zebra on the lawn, albeit a very small piece of lawn. Quite difficult to tell the difference between these two woolly-necked storks. I'm not entirely sure whose is whose. I'm not sure which of these. I would assume one of these would be male and one of these would be female, but it's quite tricky to tell. Well, I find it quite tricky to tell these woolly-necked storks apart. Hunts. How far do elephant home ranges stretch? That is an excellent question. And my answer is, as is often the case, it depends. It depends on lots of things. It depends on food availability. It depends on water. It depends on fencing. There's many variables as to how far elephants will travel. There used to be vast migratory routes across Africa, but over time some of these change. So Hans, I'm not going to give you a figure on how far an elephant's home range stretches, because it depends on lots of things. If an animal of any type has enough food, enough water, safety, shelter if they need it, lack of predation and breeding opportunities, they don't go far, because why would they? But it's very often the case that one or two of those things is missing or is present in incorrect amounts, not incorrect amounts, but you know, if that's why you often don't find lots of cheetah in areas with high lion densities, because they don't survive there, and if they keep getting predated upon, they won't be there, and that will often determine population densities of lots of species. Let's leave this. It's a quite small little group of zebra here, and I think we might be going across to Wangi, but I'm not sure. So we're going to go somewhere and look at something, but let's see. It can be a surprise for all of us. Enjoy your day, zebbies. Feeding in that nice green, lush area there. It is indeed Wangy. Excellent. This looks a bit warmer here, but maybe it's just nice and sunny. Lovely big group of impala here. What's that at the back? Is that a marabou stork at the back? I can't think of what else it would be. I'm sorry, I just leant right forward then to look at the stork and moved away from the microphone. I think that's a marabou stork at the back. And it's as big as the impala. If you look from this perspective, and it looks like it's got some food there, that marabou stork, if it is indeed a marabou stork. Are they more marabou storks? I can't tell from here. There's definitely some Egyptian geese, but there's a couple of... No, they are not. They are cranes. I'm not sure if the other one is also a crane. Thank you very much for zooming in and alerting me to the fact that that was not a... But is that a marabou stork? No, that's a marabou stork. Okay, so that was a marabou stork and a couple of cranes. Lovely. I've been enjoying marabou storks lately. They get a very bad rap. Well, not a bad rap, but people are often quite mean about marabou storks. But I've had a few marabou viewing opportunities recently, and I find them quite alluring. They're interesting to look at. I like things that are interesting, unusual to look at. Yes, that's definitely marabou stork. Well spotted, camera teams, and they're finding lots to nibble on down by the water's edge there. By the looks of it, they're picking up and flicking things along the water's edge. They do a lot of scavenging. So you will find them around kill sites often, or carcasses, or human rubbish dumps. They're very well known for frequenting. But they do sometimes hunt, so they will predate on things like birds, fish, anything they can get in those huge beaks, really. So they're quite... I often find the success of a species can often be dependent on their diet, and the more variable a diet can be, the more successful that species is, because it's got options, it's got opportunities, it's got options, it can diversify and eat lots of different things, so they're able to succeed if one particular source of food drops. And these beautiful cranes, I'm just trying to think. I don't think I've seen a grey crown crane. I don't think I've got it on my birding list. I don't think I've had the pleasure. Now these really are beautiful birds. They're not super numerous, these grey crowned cranes. Not sort of super rare, but there's definitely birds that you are more likely to bump into. Jace, would a marabou stork be able to hunt an impala if it was hungry enough? No, I don't think so. Would it? I don't think it would even manage even maybe a stillborn calf. I think that would probably... No, I don't know though. I've seen videos of Is it a pelican? I've seen a video of a pelican eating a rabbit. If pushed, Jace, I'm going to say no. But if it found bits of impala that had been left behind somewhere, I'm going to say yes because it's a scavenger. But would it hunt an impala? I'm going to say no. I'm sure, not if anyone else has seen that clip, I'm sure it was a pelican. Yeah, it was a pelican eating a rabbit, I'm sure. And I've also seen a clip of, I can't remember I've seen it, but I've got visions of a pelican. I don't know if it was just messing around, but it was a pelican trying to put a capybara in its mouth, which is utterly insane. Capybaras, I think I would love to see a capybara. I think they're South American largest rodent in the world, those water-loving rodents from South America, which would be a massive stretch for a pelican, but I don't know how serious the pelican was. So these impalas obviously been for their little drink and they're heading back out. And look how often you find animals will walk in single file. This is how these very clear game paths are formed. I think a big reason for this is safety. Everyone going in the same direction. It's not always one behind the other. I know when we walk in the bush, we also walk in single file, and that is often a safety thing. Also about doing or causing minimal disruption. I guess if these impalas, if there was a leopard sat in the grass, if they're all fanned out and walking all spread out, they're less likely to avoid it. But if they are all walking on the same path, oh, it's an old buffalo. Is that an old buffalo skull there? Looks like an old buffalo skull in the grass. Yeah, it's like an old buffalo skull. I think it's facing away from us. I have seen many times before, often around these pans, also along rivers. There was one particular point in a river close to where I used to work, and it was after a particularly dry spell. It was a winter, and it was a very long, dry winter. I think there was like 5, 6, 7 buffalo skulls all littered around this area where lions they didn't go far at all. They all just hung around in the same area, and where the buffalo were quite weak, there wasn't much grass for them. Lions just sort of hung around the same place, and the buffalo had to come and drink. And they got systematically eaten, for want of a better phrase. Okay, let's leave these impalas here in Wangi. And I think we've got a heron who might have just caught something. So let's cross over and we will see which heron has caught what. Oh, wow! That's very cool. It looks like at first glance, it looks like is it a grey heron? I think it's probably a grey heron. But look at the size of that fish. That was flat. Oh, it's gone. Is it gone? Huh. Oh, did it get stuck? No, it's gone. Herons or any birds will flip a fish around. I think it's normally head first. Any spikes or spines or things on the fish are then sort of aligned, so they're not. It looks like that. Did you bite off more than you could chew, heron? That was a very round fish. The heron's been sort of tilting its head. Just wondering if it didn't bite off slightly more than it could chew. Or swallow, anyway. You'll often see birds, sometimes they will sort of bang things they've killed, they'll bang them on rocks or branches, especially kingfishers. So they will kill whatever they've caught, and different birds use different techniques. Sometimes they will stab like a skewer, and other times they will grab with their beaks in a sort of pincer movement. And then especially the kingfishers, you will see them bang, bang, bang on a tree stump or a branch of a tree, wherever they're sitting, and then they flick, they flip it round and flip it round till it's just in the right aspect for them, and then gone. They often don't take too long to swallow them. I have seen a few times where birds they do get it a little bit wrong.
Join me, Andrew Wistenholm, for an indescribable 6-night stay in the beautiful Albany of the Eastern Cape at Amakhala Game Reserve. Now, this trip is going to be action-packed with a lot of storytelling, adventure, as well as the opportunity to make everlasting memories. We'll be exploring the best of Amakhala by staying at 2 luxury lodges, which will be the perfect blend of comfort as well as wilderness. Book your spot today and let's get ready to explore the wild beauty of Amakhala.
April 13 marks the beginning of something powerful. Wild Earth is launching a special fundraising drive for our non-profit, the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. We're raising funds to source, create, and showcase thousands of untold stories. Stories that spark real action in conservation and social impact. Join our live fireside chat to learn more and explore how you can become a founding donor. Step into the heart of Africa from the comfort of your home.
Female leopard tracks over here.
Join our expert guides for a live 3-hour safari where every moment is real, unscripted, and unforgettable. Ask questions,
Animals rely on their senses.
share your thoughts, and be part of the experience as we explore together. Safari Live.
Can you hear that? The wild is calling.
Fruit bats. How do fruit bats survive when there's no fruit? Just go. I'm just quickly plugging my laptop in. Sorry about that, Tino. Back to fruit bat. And they adapt, and they have to vary their diet. If there's no fish to eat, then they can't eat fish. It's a really good question, Tino, and I don't honestly know the answer. They just have to adapt, and that's why I said often species that do very well have the ability to adapt. The example I often use is your giant panda. They don't have a particularly diverse diet as as a result, they often struggle as a species. Lots of books say these birds feed on fish, but if there's no fish, they have to adapt. Whether or not they would adapt to fruit or anything, I'm just not sure. Joined by a marabou. But yeah, that's a really good question. And the short version is, if their preferred source of food isn't available, then they have to eat something else. Otherwise, they die. And let's see how close this. You see that size difference. I've seen this before. I think it might have been at Vic Falls. There was a crocodile with an impala in the water. I don't know if anyone else can confirm. It was a while ago now. There was a crocodile that had an impala in the water, and there was a marabou stork and a yellow-billed stork stood side by side. I wonder if these two are buddies. But that size difference is very evident there. So yellow-billed storks, probably up to about 1 metre, which is big. But these marabou storks can be up to about 1.5 meters, which is not far off my height. So that is a very, very tall bird. Beautifully demonstrated there next to each other. I think there's quite a few stork species, I think, that have been known to frequent rubbish dumps or human habitation. And while there are lots of animals or birds that can sometimes be obligate feeders, so they can and will only eat one particular thing, there's lots of books that say, this animal only feeds on whatever. I found it sometimes with herbivores. This is just a grazer. But if you watch long enough, you'll see something nibble on something else or diversify a little bit, because if they don't, they can hugely limit their opportunities. But how nice, these two large water-enjoying birds cohabiting perfectly comfortably together. Still really good water here as well, which is lovely to see. Quite bare around the edges of this pan, but that can often be the case. We've got something there. It's white. I'm going to guess another yellow-billed stork. Are we going to get that? Oh, nearly. Ghost stork. That was really... No, it's not a yellow-billed stork. That is a greater egret. I think a great egret. Let me just check. I believe so. This is another big bird, actually. This is up to 95 centimetres. So all of these birds standing close to 1 metre. And again, foraging on fish, frogs, insects, sometimes reptiles. I can sometimes struggle with some of the egrets that can look quite similar. You need to be able to see, sometimes you need to be able to see all of their legs. The cattle egrets are much smaller, but they can also change colour in their breeding season. And I find it difficult, as with lots of the brown eagles. It's very easy to say, oh, that's too small for or whatever, but if you're sort of 150 metres away from it, sometimes it's quite difficult to judge size, I find. Erica Oldnote, yes, thank you very much for jumping in and saying you also remember that sighting with that crocodile eating what appeared to be an impala, and there was those two, yellow-billed stork and a marabou stork, just stood there watching, just supervising the action, and I'm pretty sure they were waiting for scraps. Why have you decided to leave, Mr. or Mrs. Egret? Oh, you've gone over there. Looking in the peripheries of the...
Join Wild Earth Travel on a unique nature adventure in the Greater Kruger Park. Legendary master tracker Renius Mhlongo leads a 4-day animal tracking experience in the Sabi Sand Nature Reserve. This experience offers a life-changing chance to track Africa's iconic animals on foot with a master of his craft. Renius is joined by Wild Earth presenter and expert storyteller Amy Krantz, and together they will connect you to Africa's wild heart.
Do you want to know why impala are the most common antelope we find here in the Kruger National Park? You can ask me questions like this in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive here in the heart of Africa. Join me on Safari Live. Connect with nature. We are here with a male leopard.
Looks like they might have heard something. See those ears. Listening, moving, listening all the time. The fact actually that this looks like a young animal there is now making me think this may be a female. Is that little one going to get up? So nice to know that it's definitely not me that's making these animals a little bit uncomfortable. Uncomfortable, they're not exactly uncomfortable, they're just aware which young one's going to get up. It's probably a cow and her youngster. What's wrong? What are you looking at? Exactly the same colour as that soil. I find rhinos are incredibly susceptible or sensitive to spatial pressure. I was always very aware, I mean, with anything, but if you are driving, if you're in a vehicle and there's rhinos, it fluctuates, depends on the day, it depends on the weather, it depends on the makeup of the group, it depends on the age of the group, it depends on the area they're in, but they have a very clear, this distance is okay and this distance is not okay. You can be 10 centimetres too close and they will move away. And you can tell a lot about how they're feeling, or they're using their body language, watching their ears, watching that tail. Rhinos, despite that tail not being huge, sometimes looks like a little bit of a add-on. They can be very expressive, those rhinos' tails. If they're not comfortable, they will often stop swinging. That looked like a fly swish from that lead rhino there. But they will kink, they will go very, very stiff. Those ears will flip backwards and forwards much more quickly. And rhinos are often less relaxed if they've got a youngster with them. So maybe she got a waft, a scent of something coming over on the breeze. There might not be anything there at all. Their eyesight isn't as appalling as many people think. It's not great. They haven't got eagle eyes exactly, but it's not bad. But they do have an excellent sense of smell and hearing. You see those ears moving backwards, forwards, like satellite dishes picking up sounds from various different locations to tell where that sound is coming from. This little one gonna ask for a drink, maybe? See these rhinos, they have their teats, their mammary glands between their back legs. Like so many other mammals, elephants have those teats, those mammary glands between their front legs. And is this little one gonna try for a little drink? I remember the first time I heard a baby rhino. I was absolutely stunned. I never thought such a large animal could make such a high-pitched... Oh, is he going to get under there? Is that little one just laid down? I can't quite see what's happening. I'm not sure if anyone can hear if there is indeed any little baby rhino noises coming out of there. It's a very high pitched, almost sounds like a bird, like a little squeaking sound. Bilbo Baggins, hi, great name. You've seen rhinos in mud, but do they go in water? And yes, absolutely. They don't often swim, they're not really designed, they're not the most aerodynamic of designs. But no, they will go in water. I've seen rhinos sort of wallowing in the banks of the shores of sort of rivers. They don't sort of frolic and play in deepish water like elephants would. But no, they'll go in mud, but they will also go in water. I can't see if that little one's drinking or not. Deb Davis, yes, absolutely. These rhinos are exactly the same colour as the soil because they have been rolling around and wallowing in mud that would have come from soil. Yes, they are covered in local soil, shall we say, and that's where they're getting their colouring from. Lots of people, I'm sure with these amazing educational channels people know now, often people used to think that white rhino, black rhino were named because of their physical colour. They're both grey, but they will cover themselves in mud and soil and take on that colouring. I had a question quite a while ago now, and it was, how many babies will a female white rhino have in a lifetime? And I did lots of maths. Well, first of all I guessed about 10, and then I went away and did loads of maths, and it came out to around about 10, maybe a little bit less, but somewhere around there. So by the time they reach sexual maturity, I still didn't quite see if that young one was drinking. Another question that's often asked is how long will they suckle for? Again, it can depend. Animals will often wean, their babies will sometimes wean roughly around about the same amount of time that their gestation period is, but roughly. So white rhino gestation 16 months, weaning maybe 16 months. Is this baby 16 months? I'm not sure. But certainly when a next baby came along, I've actually seen, and what makes me reticent about talking about weaning and things, there's not really any hard, fast rules. And what made me realise that was I once watched elephant, a young elephant, get down on its knees, far down on its knees to suckle, and I was very confused because I thought that looks like quite a big elephant to still be suckling, and I went away and did some reading and discovered that elephants could suckle. There have been records of elephants suckling till they were 8, and elephants are not pregnant for 8 years, so yeah, I'm always a little bit dubious about weaning and suckling, but they will be weaned sort of 12 to 18 months, somewhere around there. But again, it depends on if mum's still got milk, if food is plentiful, if she doesn't have another baby, if she's in good health, then she might allow that calf to keep on suckling, and that's often often when they make those little squeaky sounds is when she's saying no. No more. Mindy, you wouldn't think they could do much with the smaller secondary horn in the back. I've also thought about that as well, Mindy. And I don't have an answer for you. I would be inclined to agree with you. Those horns can be for defence. I'm also not entirely sure why it would be there. There's obviously nature has developed it there for a reason, but I couldn't really tell you what it is. I've thought the same thing, Mindy, and I've had discussions with people about that before. I would love you all to send in your thoughts about what that second horn, that smaller horn further up, is indeed for. Has anyone ever watched a rhino using that second horn? I've seen them scratching things, and I've seen them scratch in between them. Oh, that little one's having a snooze. Just checking my workings, and of course not all rhinos have two horns, or subspecies of rhino. I actually went to a lecture a while ago on subspecies of black rhino, but it gets quite complicated. But not all rhino have two horns. Javan rhino, I think possibly the Indian rhino, also called the greater one-horned rhino. Oh, taxonomy scares me of talking about it too much because stuff changes so quickly. But not all rhino have two horns. I would say that's possibly dependent on their where they live. Wow, I'm actually just looking at pictures of the different species of rhino. If you haven't seen all the different species of rhino found in different areas of the world, I'd strongly suggest you have a look. And wow, some of them are really quite strange looking. Very, very different. See, even with that little one laying down, sleeping, still those ears are going all the time. Lucy, what's the life expectancy of a rhino? Again, it depends. 40 years, 40, 50 years, and then obviously conditions can affect life expectancy. Animals in captivity tend to live longer than those in the wild. I think if you said 40 years, you wouldn't be too far off, but you can never tell. I think if you asked 20 guides to give you one figure, I think most of us would probably say about 40 for a white rhino. I think black rhino maybe sometimes slightly not as long, maybe not quite as old because they're slightly smaller animals. But yeah, I would say 40 would be a fairly good guess. But again, it's dependent on so many things. Sandy Franklin 69, which animal typically suckles the longest? Well, I couldn't believe a massive elephant was suckling. Again, it depends on the food availability, and it depends on climate, and it depends on reproduction and all the other things. But if you look at typically, weaning is around about the same length of time as gestation. Elephants have the longest gestation. So I would guess elephant, but then would it be how long they would suckle for in relation to their life expectancy? So if an animal lived till it was 2 and it suckled till it was 1, that's 50% of its lifetime. So would it be a percentage of lifespan, or I'm just not really answering, am I, Sandy? So I'm going to guess elephant, but as with everything else, it would depend. Erica, you're saying, may you have a safe, long life, baby rhino. I think that's an excellent shout, Erica. I would... Ooh, hi! Enter screen left. Welcome. I will be photobombing this session and having a drink right here. I'm not actually sure of the history of this area. I haven't spent time at Mantis Founders Lodge, but to me, that rhino that's just walked in almost looks like it may have been dehorned at some point, because the tip of that horn is very flat. Horns do grow quite quickly if rhino are dehorned. They will grow back, but I think it's about 4 centimetres a year. They grow back quite quickly. Maybe this rhino has preference for flattening the front of their horn. Look, the other ones are going to lay down as well now. But that was really a very quick entry there to come and have a drink. You see that? I don't know, maybe. That almost looks like it's difficult to tell. So this rhino does have a bracelet on, which I would guess is probably a tracking device. So that tells me that this animal has been anaesthetised at some point. Because that rhino, I don't care how much cooperative care work you do, to get a wild rhino to stand still while you put a bracelet on, is not likely. I'm not sure if this horn at the front here has been dehorned and grown back, if it's been filed, if it's had some work done on it, I'm not sure. Oh, and this is a really nice opportunity to look at the edges of that nose there. That's my favourite bit of a rhino, those soft outer edges of their nostrils. Feels like velvet. Snotty, muddy velvet. I have had the extreme pleasure of having felt a rhino on a few occasions. We had to help with a project to monitor their breathing. We had to keep our hands near their nostrils. And the texture was incredible, and I was extremely surprised at how hard their bodies are. I would have thought those bodies might have felt sort of like, I don't know, maybe like a really tightly stuffed leather sofa, you know, the really uncomfortable ones. Sorry if anyone listening has a tightly stuffed leather sofa and finds it really comfortable. I do not. But I would have thought there'd be sort of a little bit of give in there, but they are like iron. There is no prodding or poking that skin at all. They are like rock, like metal. I was very surprised. So as we were saying earlier, that doesn't look like much of a tail, but you can actually tell quite a lot about many animals' moods just by looking at their tail.
Join Wild Earth Travel on a unique nature adventure in the Greater Kruger Park. Legendary master tracker Renius Mhlongo leads a 4-day animal tracking experience in the Sabi Sand Nature Reserve. This experience offers a life-changing chance to track Africa's iconic animals on foot with a master of his craft. Renius is joined by Wild Earth presenter and expert storyteller Amy Krantz, and together they will connect you to Africa's wild heart.
they've settled down for the day. Looks like this other one might lay down as well. Everyone's just gonna get comfy for a little afternoon snooze. We do quite often find males hanging around females to check their reproductive status, and they will sometimes pick a female and follow her for a very long time, weeks, to see if her status changes. I've seen many a female rhino give a fairly hard no thank you suggestion to males that have been following them. So actually I haven't seen it many times, but watching any of these mega fauna interact can be quite awe-inspiring. But I've watched two male rhinos fight before, and you get that car out of the way pretty quickly. Same with elephants, they become a little bit oblivious to their surroundings, and you do not want to be in the way of any of these giants while they are busy with one another. Cindy, you're asking if they're dehorned at a certain age. Is he going to, yeah he is, he's going to lay down as well. Lovely. Ooh. I almost heard him do that. Cindy, they are. I'm not entirely sure what that age is. It wouldn't be very, very young because young animals often don't do well with anaesthetic. I'm not going to guess. It's not going to be younger than 3. I wouldn't have thought, but I'm not sure, Cindy. I'm not sure what the wildlife vets deem to be an appropriate age for dehorning, and it could also be impacted by what sort of area they're in. So if they are maybe in a very, very high risk area, they may be more prepared to take a chance on animals when they're younger by dehorning them when they're younger. And equally, if it's a much lower risk area, they might want to wait as long as possible before subjecting those animals to the dehorning process. So he's laid down right in the sun there. Let's see what the temperatures are at Mantis Founders Lodge today. Let me have a quick check. According to my sources, it's probably around 28, 29 degrees, so not blistering hot, but I'm surprised he hasn't found a little shady spot. Excuse me. But it just goes to show again, you know, if someone said, what does a rhino do during the day? I'm sure one of us would say, oh, they'll get up and they'll feed, and then when it's hot during the day, they will find a shady spot under a tree and lay down and have a snooze. He's just laid down in an unshady spot. So, yeah, the longer I'm doing this, the more we realise that so many things depend. Oh, what's he heard? Alex, he is. He's watching us now. I feel it does. It feels like a bit of a who's supervising who moment. And that big, wide, flat lip, so characteristic of the white rhino, acting like a cushion for him. See that scrape down his side, looks like he's been scratching in some bushes maybe. And when you see them like this, you think, oh, that's going to take ages to get up. And if you didn't know better, you might think, oh, I could get all the way up to that and touch him and run away before that animal managed to stand up. You are sorely mistaken, and they can be up in the blink of an eye. And I know this because I've watched it many times. They can be up and moving very quickly, much more quickly than it would look. Mindy, you're saying it must feel good to get all that weight off their feet for a while. Absolutely.
Become a Wild Earth YouTube member today and unlock extras and bonuses, like ad-free streams so you can stay immersed in your safari without any interruption. Have your burning questions answered first by me or other expert naturalists. Join now to avoid missing out on these amazing benefits. Help us connect people to nature.
Would you like to know at what age a buffalo calf gets its horns? These are questions that you can ask me in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive here in the heart of Africa. Join me on Safari Live and connect with nature.
Welcome to Safari Spotlight. We'll be
And you pretend like you're a serviceman, eh?
Got no idea what's going on this reserve.
Expecting the unexpected.
Are we stuck down there?
What am I trying to do?
Because we have another giant of Mabula.
That was incredible.
This is unbelievable.
It's going to be a spectacular afternoon.
Okay, incubation is indeed 38 to 41 days. I did know they were monogamous, but I'm just trying to see if the same penguin would return to exactly the same nest site. Maybe someone that's been watching for a long time could confirm this. Okay, it seems yes, they'll return to the same colony and the same nest site each year. I thought so, I did think that was the case. I've never seen it, but good to have that confirmed. Thanks very much. I assume if it's a successful nest site, they will return to it. It would be a bit foolish if they kept getting raided or predated upon, that they would keep going back to the same nest site. I know lots of birds do. And eagles, obviously the eagles are very well known for that. I think warbirds, eagles are very well known for returning to exactly the same spot and exactly the same nest after they go on their huge migrations, and they come all the way back to the same bunch of sticks in the tree, which I really like that actually. So when did we first see this pair sitting on this nest? It feels like a good 3 weeks ago. So we shouldn't really be too much longer. Where's our Friday dussies? Our dussies are going to be gearing up for the weekend, being disgruntled with life. I've probably spent more time actually watching dussies recently than I ever have before, and this is what I've concluded is they're disgruntled. Dussies look disgruntled. Alex, yes, nice hideout, a penthouse for a penguin. It does look like an excellent spot for those penguins. If I was a penguin, I would probably want to be nesting there as well. I think this is definitely a gull. The herring gull. I know there are a lot of gulls. Kelp gull. What's a herring gull? Is it the same thing? With that diagnostic little red doodly underneath his bit there. Herring gulls, are they in England? Okay, yeah, they are. That's where. That looks like exactly the same thing to me. Yellow eye. Black eye. Okay, that's where the confusion happens. European herring gull also has that red diagnostic underneath, but they've got a yellow eye, and these kelp gulls have a dark eye. Lovely cormorants over there. I can see a white-breasted cormorant. So those other ones have got sort of yellowish beaks and faces. I think I can see a yellow face back there, that one that's lowest down. And Cape Cormorant. That sea looks very calm today. Not too much wind. Some drying out after some preening. It does look quite calm there today. Lots of those penguins out there on the sandy beach. Quite used to those. People spend a lot of time getting used to not being disturbed by people, which is great. I did actually see something a while ago, and there were some people getting far too close to some penguins. I'm not sure exactly where it was, but I don't understand why people are so desperate to get so close to so many things. If anything, the longer I've been in this industry, the further away from things I like to stay, because I don't want to disturb. My objective as a guide, and it always has been, I would like to try and show people things doing exactly what they would be doing if I wasn't present. And it's one of the reasons I enjoy these cameras so much, because I'm definitely not interrupting those animals. Yes, Claire Downing, thank you very much. That is where I know herring gull from, and they are massive. And I'm now curious as to, I'm going to dig around to see if I can find the scientific names for both of those gulls, because they have got different coloured eyes, but that's why I know herring gulls, and because they are big and they are noisy, and they do indeed steal things. I actually was talking to a friend yesterday who was about to go out for dinner in Lyme Regis. I'm not sure if anyone listening knows Lyme Regis down there in Dorset, and she said, I'm desperately trying to fend off all these seagulls while I wait. They can be, I've had an ice cream stolen by probably a herring gull before. You have to be very quick on the draw. So I did have a little bit of education around animals being prone to stealing food before I moved to South Africa. I'm very in tune with this now. Baboons, monkeys, all sorts of things you need to be aware of. So the seagulls, when I go back to England, aren't too much of a problem for me. But thank you, Claire Downing. Yes, I knew there was such a thing called a herring gull. Not dissimilar looking to a kelp gull. But yeah, going back to people getting too close to things, I just don't... I suppose it's human nature to want to get close to stuff. If we see something that's exciting, we want to be close to it. Hello Dusty, how's it going? I was fortunate enough to go to Rwanda, gosh, 8 years ago now, I can't really remember, to go gorilla trekking, and it was an unbelievable experience. Anyone that is considering it, I cannot recommend it highly enough. I've been very fortunate to have many fabulous wildlife experiences, but gorillas in Rwanda was quite spectacular, and people have often asked for recommendations or thoughts, and the two things I would have changed was, one, I would have done it twice, because you only get an hour, and I was so gobsmacked by the whole experience that I don't think I took it in as well as I could have done. I would have loved to go back on a second day and sort of know a bit more about what to expect, so I could have relaxed into it and really savoured the moment. And the other thing I would have loved to have changed is to go on my own with just a guide, because there was, I don't know, it's highly unlikely she'd be listening, I can't even remember where she was from. There was a woman who trekked with us, and she the whole time she was trying to get closer to these gorillas. I mean, we were like 3 meters from these gorillas, and she was still leaning forward. And the guide kept going, please don't do that. And she was like leaning forward an extra like 20 centimeters. It's like, just don't. So that was a bit annoying. And if she's listening, if you go again, please don't do that. But they're the 2 things I would have changed about visiting the gorillas, and really you don't need to get any closer. Trixie Rose, I wonder if humans are permitted to swim at Stony Point. The water looks so inviting. I would hope not. I could be wrong, but I would assume not, because it is a nature reserve, and I would hope that authorities would keep the water belonging to the animals and the birds and the disgruntled dussies. Look, he just looks a bit disappointed, doesn't he? Looks like he's thinking, oh. I do really enjoy watching them though. I still can't work out what they look like. They look like a cross between a dog and a cat and a bear and an otter or something. Joanne Mello, you go to Africa to see Stony Point and Amakhala. Come, there is so much more here. Joanne Mello, please. There's so many things I want to go and visit and see and do across Africa. It never gets old. You never know what you're going to see around the corner. We all still maintain this, and any guide that does not feel that way anymore should probably be changing jobs or changing lifestyles. And I've just had confirmation, no swimming for humans at Stony Point. Yay! It is indeed a protected wildlife area. Deb Davis, you're asking, how many puppies do I have? I have no puppies, Deb. I am dogless. I am intending to stay dogless because my lifestyle does not really lend itself to having any sort of animal be reliant on me being in one place, in my opinion. I do help clients and I help friends, so I do it the cheap way, Deb, and I borrow other people's dogs and then have some dog time, and then they go back to their guardians, which works really, really well. I'm trying desperately hard not to accidentally end up with a dog, but we will see how long that lasts. Deb, thank you for asking. I think let's leave this grooming yoga dussie by the looks of it. Let's head across to Tembe. I think we might have some elephants over there having a nice little bit of interaction. And the dussie's left before us. See, this is a bit of a mismatch. I'm just trying to see what's going on here. It's not serious, whatever it is. So that is a fairly well-sized bull wandering off with a much smaller animal having a drink. It could have been. It doesn't. There's some fairly peaceful body language here from all of these guys. But that elephant that had its facing away from us, that looked like a much younger animal, much smaller animal. We do know that often groups of males will have sometimes quite a broad age range, and while they're not sort of all buddies, they don't have to hang out together all the time. They do often frequent similar areas. So it's not herd, it's just a few guys hanging out sort of thing, and they can have a broad age range, anywhere from well, again, it depends. People say male elephants leave their herds when they're 12 or 14 or whatever it is. Again, it depends on what's happening in their lives, it depends how much food there is, it depends how they're behaving. But typically, they'll leave mum and their maternal family group to join loosely formed groups of older males. So a group of older males could range, anywhere from 10, 12 years old all the way up to end of life males, really. And it's well documented that younger, strong, prime bulls will sometimes assist some of the older bulls with feeding if they're struggling. If they've got broken tusks or they're weak, they will sometimes assist them in some ways. At the Elephant Museum, I can't remember which one of them it was. If anyone is keen, have a look up Magnificent Seven. They were 7 tuskers from the from the Kruger National Park, actually. And I can't remember which one of them it was, but one of them, one of the last times he was seen with younger bulls that were assisting with feeding. So that smaller elephant that was further over to the left could have been part of that group. We know there was a breeding herd here earlier. So maybe it was an even younger animal that hasn't technically left mum yet and he's just hanging out with the big boys for a bit. I would say if he was having a little bit of a tussle, one of them, that's probably not the best way to go about it. See, look how close these males are. So these are both adult males. Again, a little bit difficult to age them, but by the looks of them, they're sexually mature, and they're not the huge, big 40, 50-year-old gigantic tuskers. But there doesn't appear to me to be any hint of competition here. No one looks tense. It looks quite tender, actually. And you will often find, and I talk about it a lot, animals don't want to fight. They don't want to argue. They don't want to hurt each other. And much, much, much of animal communication is subtle. Oh, hello, African Chicana. Hi.
Become a Wild Earth YouTube member and unlock exclusive bonuses and benefits. Enjoy uninterrupted, ad-free streams so you can stay immersed in nature. Have your burning questions answered first by me or other expert naturalists. Enjoy exclusive access to special broadcasts and videos, and help us to connect people to nature.
Would you like to know the difference between a male and female wildebeest? You can ask me questions like this in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive here in the heart of Africa. Join me on Safari Live and connect with nature.
Welcome to Safari Spotlight. We'll be
And you pretend like you're a serviceman, eh?
Got no idea what's going on this reserve.
Expecting the unexpected.
Are we stuck down there?
What am I trying to do? Because we have another giant of Mabula. That was incredible.
This is unbelievable.
It's going to be a spectacular afternoon.
Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Well, snakes they can't maintain their own body temperature, and they do tend to slow themselves down a bit in the colder months. They don't hibernate, they don't disappear, but they're just much less active, so you're less likely to see them. But this isn't a bad time. They're active in the summer, but everything is so thick and long and lush, even if they are there, we often don't see them unless they're desperately trying to escape across the road. So this isn't a bad time. It's still relatively warm, but the vegetation's died back a bit. Sorry, I've rambled again. When is the best time to see snakes? Between November and April. Either at dusk or night time. I'm going to say 7 o'clock at night in March. Sandy, that's probably the most specific thing I've ever said. But your vegetation has died back a bit. It's often too hot for them to move around during the day, and they will start getting active as the sun. What is that elephant doing? That was cool. Show us that again, boy. Too hot in the day, often more active at night. Many snakes are technically nocturnal, so they will start to move around and start hunting at night time. So there we go, Sandy, 7 o'clock in the evening in March. Deb Davis, you're saying, Kelly, I detect your natural ability to sense animals' feelings. I'm trying to learn, Deb. Is this elephant shouting at this Chicana? That's not very friendly. I'm trying to learn, Deb. It's my passion, and I find it incredibly. This boy's playing with his water nicely, hey. I'm trying to learn, because I think it's really humbling, having some sort of. See, this elephant isn't drinking that. Why is he playing with it? Surely he's not upset by that Chicana. He's got big rips in both ears, hey? Wow. I wonder what's caused those. Sorry, I was mesmerised by that elephant then, Dad. Thank you. I'm trying to learn, and I'm trying to get better all the time. But I think if I could have any skill in the world or a superpower, it would be able to communicate with animals, like properly. And I think we would have an awful lot to learn from them. I don't think we could teach them much, but we could learn a lot, and we do learn a lot from watching animals, I think. So I think that would probably be my superpower. I wouldn't want to be invisible, I wouldn't want to be able to fly, but I would love to be able to communicate properly with animals. This elephant is not drinking. And he might be playing. maybe it feels nice and splushy on his mouth. Got a full trunk. Sorry, I was just leaning away from the mic then. I think he's got a full trunk like that. I thought for a minute there it might be an injury at the end there. Very noticeable gaps in this boy's ears though. And that was the end of that. I don't know what that elephant was doing then or why. I sense he was just mucking about with the water really, and I've got no other explanation. Zoe.
Zitatamana wena, moya wa mina, ukomba wena, takuranza loko tamana wena.
It's been a great morning out and about and exploring.
That is amazing. It's very hard to explain what this feels like.
Join the Wild Earth YouTube superfan community and unlock a world of additional perks. Get exclusive early access or discounts to Wild Earth travel deals. Wear the best bush attire with merchandising discounts. Enjoy an interactive live monthly private safari. Don't miss out on the ultimate fan experience. Join the YouTube superfan community today.
They tell a story to each other, and they all know what's going on. They don't have to do what us silly humans have to do. We have to sit down and have long discussions about how we're feeling and what's going on for us and all the rest of it. Animals do it all on body language. It's incredible. We could learn a lot from them, I think. Erica, oh no, it's an absolute pleasure. You're saying thank you for today. It's a pleasure to be here, Erica. It's always a pleasure to watch all of these animals and try and work out what they are doing, what's going on with them, all without having an impact on them, without disturbing them. And it's really nice when everyone joins. I love hearing everyone's questions. To know that people from all over the world are watching the same thing, enjoying the same moments together. Okay, it looks like these boys have all carried on about their day. Let's carry on and see what else we have got just in the last couple of minutes of this afternoon's show. What's that? Got some kudus at Elephant Pan. Again, this is it's a nice little family group here with the males there as well, which can be a bit unusual, so it could be they are also investigating there. Woo! Check that boy's set of horns there. And again, lovely seeing this comparison in size and colour. I've never really noticed that in kudus, because we often don't see them stood next to each other. I know what a kudu looks like, but I've never noticed. I mean, look how thick this male's neck though is. Oh yeah, there's definitely some interest there. Lovely to see those lovely big bulls. Deb Davis, I'm looking forward to joining you again tomorrow too. It's an absolute pleasure spending time with like-minded people, seeing what we can learn from nature. We will be back at the same time tomorrow, tech allowing. Had some fun and games with some of the tech. Hopefully my sound has been a little bit better today. Thank you all so much for joining us. Carry on watching these cameras. We'll be back with you at the same time tomorrow. We will be live from 12:30, and we hope you can all join us, and we'll see you tomorrow.